Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the 2021 State of Black Wine Business. For those who are joining us for the first time, my name is Angela McCrae, founder of Uncorked Cultured, which is a media company sharing stories and experiences that are centered in wine, wellness, culture, and adventure. To learn more, be sure to visit us at uncorkedculture.com, join our Facebook group, and follow us on social media at Uncorked and Cultured so we can stay in touch. Throughout tonight's programming, we'll be sharing links and information in the comments. So definitely make sure you have your comments activated. Now, this is a good time to do a roll call. So those of you guys who are joining us in the comments, let us know where you're watching from and what you want to gain from tonight's conversation. If you haven't yet, now is also a good time to hit that subscribe button, because we need to get to 1,000 followers, y'all. We need 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So help us get there, because we're trying to grow the Black wine community for Uncorked and Cultured. Now, through wine communities like the Black Wine Lovers Facebook group, joining organizations like the Association of African American Vintners, the Hugh Society New York chapter, the Boisset Diversity Committee, and partnering with Marcy Jones of Urban Connoisseurs for the International Winemaker Summit, I quickly realized there was a movement bubbling within the wine industry. After last year's uprising, there was a snowball effect, amplifying the diversity issues within the global wine industry. Now, this uncovered so much things. I mean, it uncovered sexism, it brought racial prejudice to the forefront, and the movement to disrupt the $70 billion wine industry has been led by organizations like the Black Wine Professionals, the Roots Fund, Wine Unify, and Hispanics in Wine, just to name a few. And these organizations are creating programs and infrastructure for many BIPOC wine professionals that have already put in a lot of sweat equity and are now continuing by opening the doors for the next generation. So I want to just take a moment right now for all of us to just thank them, thank each and every one of these organizers. And I want to challenge you and encourage you to check them out. You can donate, you can support, the movement to continue growing the Black wine community. There's something for everyone, no matter where you are, on your wine journey. Now, I know everybody's wondering what to expect. I mean, this whole week we've been putting out insights and details on and letting you guys know little by little who's going to be joining us this evening. So tonight, you're going to witness something pretty special. I mean, and I just appreciate each and every one of you for choosing to be here tonight that's watching live. And feel free to share. Let us know where you are in your wine journey as well, because, we want to hear from you. And make sure you have your questions handy, because our moderator, Ray Scholes, who'll be joining us later, will be answering as many questions as he can and sharing them with the panelists to also chime in. So tonight you'll hear firsthand accounts from our panelists, this amazing lineup of esteemed wine business owners telling their experiences, their challenges, and hopes for the future of wine. We will take you through an intimate conversation with America's first Black woman winemaker, Mrs. Iris Rideau, as well as two panels. The first panel is going to be on wine and community, and the second is going to be on wine retail and distribution. So again, at any time, let us know in the comments if you have any question. If you like what you're hearing, make sure you let us know and place them all in the comments. All right. So now's the time. Grab your glass of wine. I have mine. I'm sipping. Let me take a sip now. And let's cheers to an amazing evening for the 2021 Black wine business owners. And take some notes. So if you have a pen and pad, have it handy. So to kick things off, I'd like to introduce Dr. Monique Bell. She's going to be joining me. Hey, Monique, how you doing?
Hey there, Angela. It's so good to be here. So good that we've made it to this point. So excited to just, share all the goodness that's among us. So thank you so much for really being a driving force and making this happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for all the work you're doing, because I'm honored and proud to have you as a sister in wine and being a co-host for tonight's State of Black Wine Business.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be here. And so I also want to thank all of you who are here supporting us, supporting Uncorked and Cultured. Again, my name is Dr. Monique Bell, and I'm an associate professor of marketing at the Craig School of Business at Fresno State in California. I'm the founder of Wine Bell Enterprises, and I am so happy to serve as Chief of Cultural Insights and Partnerships at Uncorked and Cultured. Again, it's my pleasure to be here among friends, new friends I've made through this research, and to get to know these entrepreneurs and professionals who I've admired and probably bothered incessantly with my emails trying to get their attention, get them to participate in my research. And so that research, my interest in research in Black contributors and consumers in the wine industry, was really sparked thanks to someone you'll see on the panel today, Fern Stroud and her Black Vines Festival. Happens in Oakland every year for the past 10 years. They just celebrated their anniversary, and I've already heard through the grapevine that the 2022 Black Vines Festival will be on my birthday. So you already know where I'm going to be. I'm so excited. If you're here in this session, in this live event, then you probably already know that wine is indeed a very special and unique industry. As a wine industry novice myself, I really appreciate how welcoming and helpful everyone has been. There's a great sense of camaraderie and community, and I am so grateful for that. During the fall of 2020, I embarked on a semester-long sabbatical to further explore my interest in wine. After spending several days, months even, and countless hours, the Terroir Noir study of Black wine entrepreneurs was born. You can imagine how much I appreciate everyone who took an hour or more to complete the survey or who participated in one of my interviews to make this research, the current research, and the forthcoming research possible. Of course, I want to publicly thank those who have mentored me and helped me develop my own wine knowledge and develop my wine voice, including Melody Fuller, Fern Stroud, Dr. Liz Tosh, Master of Wine, Coviella Salinas of Amor Genève, Lou Garcia, and of course, my sister in wine you already heard from, Angela McCrae. So once again, thank you all for being here. So let's start by setting the scene of my study of Black wine entrepreneurs with some key figures. I was motivated to begin this research because the data simply didn't exist. It was virtually invisible in both the academic and the trade literature. While there was limited Black wine consumer data available, I didn't find a comprehensive or even partial story on Black wine business owners. To give some context, I love this quote and I love this energy from this young man, Abner Montfleury of Montfleur de Vin Wines. His quote reads, "I decided to become the change I wanted to see in the wine industry and take on the challenge of increasing Black representation in the wine world." And again, this young man in his 20s, Haitian roots, currently living in my favorite city of Baltimore, Maryland. He's doing his thing. He took it into his own hands. He's using crowdfunding to get his business off the ground and in its stores near you. So please support him. All right, moving along. To give some background about the survey results, the sample, meaning those who participated in the survey, was a minimum of 70, and at some points they were up to 90 participants. To qualify to participate in the study, they needed to identify as Black and own a wine-centered business. I began contacting these participants by getting in touch with the Association of African American Vintners, who were a tremendous help in this research. I also conducted a lot of online searches to make the connections with these entrepreneurs. And most of them are in the United States. However, we did have representation from Germany, South Africa, and New Zealand. So let's get to the headlines. What's the big story from the data? The first headline that I want to share with you is Black Girl Magic is real. Women, as you can see here, made up 78% of my participants. And so women are a prominent force when it comes to Black-owned wine businesses. And of course, you know, there could be some, since this was a first-time study, kind of exploratory, there may be some reasons why from the methodological side that it's skewed more female. But we'll be investigating whether this is indeed accurate across color lines and other industries. But you can see, just if you look at our panel today, The women are showing up and showing out. So another fact, 43% who participated in the survey were wine producers or brands. However, you don't need to feel limited. If you're interested in wine and you have other skill sets or other interests, we have wine media, distributors, importers, retailers, educators, and marketers. So there is a place for everyone in wine. Almost half of the participants hold at least one wine certification, and most have earned an undergraduate degree. So moving on, getting these businesses started. Talk about funding. For these Black wine entrepreneurs, this business is personal. As you can see here, 88% funded their businesses through personal savings, credit cards, friends, and family. So this was really in the absence of loans, grants, and other sources of funding. They're really putting their own wealth and equity on the line with these businesses. Some other key figures: more than a third have been operating for 6 years or more. About a quarter were located in California, and about 1/3 had revenues of up to $25,000. So these are primarily smaller businesses in comparison to some of the more large corporations we see. So let's move on to some key insights from the study. There is some good news for folks who may be interested in getting into wine. And that good news is that there's not just one single path into Black wine entrepreneurship. One story does not fit all. There were lots of different backgrounds that were represented by the entrepreneurs. Some had strong business backgrounds, others came from hospitality. We had attorneys, many different stories. Also, participants varied in their age, as we saw with the example of Abner and Montfleur de Vin wines. He's in his 20s, but we also had folks who were starting post-retirement. Another takeaway, and this one unfortunately is not so good news: you can get started and make a way in the wine industry, but it will be challenging. I'm sure our panelists will weigh in with their own experiences, but from the survey, there's a number of challenges whether it comes from capital, getting that funding, to the systemic racism that's present. It is a challenging industry to enter for anyone. And then you add the layer of race and racism, and it compounds it. So let's bring it back to some good news. Another element that I found in the study is that there's a strong sense of community among Black wine entrepreneurs and a strong sense of giving back through mentorship, co-opetition, and more than 70% noted that they have joined in alliances with other Black businesses. I wrote an exclusive article about that sense of community, and you can find it on Uncorked and Cultured. That's data and information you won't find anywhere else. So please feel free to visit Uncorked and Cultured for that exclusive article. All right. And so let's move on to some next steps. What do we do with this information? What are some actions that we can take? Again, we'll hear from our panelists, but just quickly from my report, from the industry perspective, we'd love to see additional outreach and support in the form of funding, as importantly as distribution. We need to establish partnerships that prepare these brands to scale up and reach wider audiences. From the entrepreneur perspective, they can enhance their education and really focus on collective action. They need to understand that the industry and business in general, and establish events just like we're hosting today for information sharing and to reveal the power in our numbers. And then lastly, for consumers, what can we do? Support the brands and request them. We have incredible power too. So engage Black sommeliers, event hosts, marketers, educators, and of course, the actual wine brands themselves. So that concludes my study overview. And now I'd like to move on to a highlight of my wine research experience, which has been getting to know and learn from America's first Black woman winemaker and a true Black vinovator, Ms. Iris Rideau.
Thank you, Monique.
Welcome, Iris. I want to, of course, welcome you, and let me just read a little bit of your bio. I won't tell everything, but I'll read just a little bit.
Good, save some for me.
Yes. So Iris Rideau is an entrepreneur originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. is the author of One Life Between Two Worlds, a memoir that chronicles her incredible journey from a humble and often brutal childhood to becoming the extraordinarily successful owner of Rideau Winery, one of the premier wineries on the central coast of California. Ms. Rideau, after dropping out of school at 15 due to pregnancy, was determined not to spend her life working in dead-end jobs that were available to young women of color. After a storied and inspiring career journey, Ms. Rideau opened the first Black woman-owned winery in the United States, where she hired as many female winemakers as possible, further shattering glass ceilings one by one. Welcome to you, Ms. Rideau.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you, dear. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'd love to just offer whatever I can in support of Black businesses, especially young startup Black businesses, and give them some little advice that I have without boring them too much. But I'm available for you.
Yes. Yes.
Whatever you'd like to ask me, I'm willing to try to answer.
Wonderful. Again, we're so thankful that you could join us. You're really one of our unsung heroes. And so we're not going to let you be unsung anymore. We are celebrating you, and we're so thankful. And we definitely, as younger entrepreneurs, more seasoned entrepreneurs, whatever the case, we can always learn from your experiences.
Absolutely. Yes, we can all learn from each other.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And it's been a wonderful journey. Let me say that. This has been the highlight of my life. This chapter, it's been amazing. Challenging, yes, like you said, definitely challenging, especially for a Black woman living in a white community. But I introduced my Creole heritage to the Valley, and so I was accepted. I live in a very unique valley, though. It's wine country, and we only have 2% African American community, but they are totally accepting, and they supported me however they could. It was pretty amazing. I really thought that I was going to kind of get swept to the sideline, but it was just the opposite.
Wonderful. Well, take us back a little bit. So tell us about how you made this journey from Louisiana to California, and then ultimately to owning a vineyard. What happened? We need the details.
Okay. Not too many, though, right?
Not too many.
Anyway, okay. As you mentioned, I was born in New Orleans, Creole heritage. And of course, I came through the Jim Crow era where Blacks were totally suppressed. And I suffered from the suppression of that era. And at 10 years old, I knew better than to stay in the South. I made a trip to California to visit my father, who happened to be living there. And I went one summer, and I could see the difference between, we couldn't go to a department store and try on clothes. We were told to get off the sidewalk if a white person approached, all of those horrible things, sitting at the back of the bus, you name it. And I really felt like I needed to get away from that. And I experienced being able to go wherever I wanted to go, do whatever I wanted to do on my vacation into California at the age of 10, like I said. So I knew better. I really did. And I went back to New Orleans after my vacation and convinced my mother that we had to leave. And so we actually joined the migration of the 6 million people who left the South and went to the North, East, and West in search of a better life. And it was by far the best choice and decision I ever made in life. So fast forward, I spent my adult years in Los Angeles, and my first job was working for an insurance agency. I stayed there and learned as much as I could, and several years later, I opened my own insurance agency right after the Watts riots, when Black people couldn't get insurance on their own homes. And the few Black businesses that we had at the time, this is the late 60s, they couldn't get insurance. And so I decided this is what I needed to do. And I did. I convinced the insurance companies that I could underwrite, handle it, go out, take the pictures, whatever they needed me to do. So that kind of took me into nonprofit agencies like the Urban League, through medical school, like that. And which ultimately led me to the mayor, Tom Bradley. I got his attention by all the successes that I had accomplished by then. And so I entered politics and was the first woman of color to be awarded 2 major contracts with the city of LA. And one was ensuring federally funded programs for the city. And the other one was I started a second company, a securities company specializing in pension planning for public employees, and ultimately became California State Director for a national pension company. So that launched my career, and 30 years later, I decided it was time to retire. Tom Bradley had retired by then. The political winds were changing. We had started the affirmative action program together along with other African-American people. And by then, we were losing all the contracts that we had fought so hard for. And it was very difficult to continue staying up and staying in that environment. So, like I said, 30 years later, 89, I built my home, found a beautiful place. I would drive on the 101 freeway headed north. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew that I wanted to live in Santa Barbara County somewhere. And I found the valley, fell in love with it. And during those days, it wasn't really established as real wine country at the time, but I loved the vineyards that were there and the beautiful ambiance of the valley. And so I settled there. And 5 years later, this property came on the market that was adjacent to my home property. And it was 22 acres. And I was in the valley with my mom, who I had with me, thank God, at the time. She loved to play golf. I'm a single woman, and I'm going, I cannot play golf the rest of my life with my mother. I've got to do something.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
So I bought this property that, like I said, was adjacent to my home property, 22 acres. And on it was a historical Santa Barbara County historical landmark, adobe, that was then 120 years old. Had been abandoned for 10 years. And so I took 2 years to restore it. Challenging, first of all, was the main challenge was getting it approved as a winery. The permits were very difficult. Santa Barbara County was really hard. We had meeting after meeting. I won't go into all the details. It's in the book. But anyway, so I restored the house, opened my doors in 97. And while I was restoring the house, I built the winery. And then I planted the vineyard, 2 vineyards, upper and lower, and all Rhone varietals. So I love Viognier and Syrah like that. And my property was the very perfect microclimate for Rhones. So I was able to purchase, you've heard of Tablas Creek, I'm sure, out of Robles. Well, they had a nursery there and a partnership with Chateau de Beaucastel vineyards in the south of France, and had the vines already ready to go. After 3 years being in quarantine, and I kept saying, God is in this plan. I kept looking for him, are you still there? Anyway, I was able to plant all Rhone varietals to my property. So that was wonderful.
How did you learn about did you have to personally learn about viticulture and maintaining the vines, or did you get staff and workers?
I was just always fast tracking everything, as you can hear from me. But I'm an entrepreneur. So I had those 2 successful companies that I ran for 30 years. And my motto was always to hire the best that I could find. So, and I also have the ability to say I don't know when I don't know. I did take some classes, but I was not going to be a winemaker. So I knew that. But I did hire the best winemaker that I could find at the time. He'd spent 12 years in Gainey Winery and was ready to leave. So he actually came over and made my wine. So we didn't have a partnership, but we had an agreement that he would make, if I built the winery for us, he would make my wines as well as his.
Right.
So I gave him a place to come and make his wines. And so that worked out beautifully. I was still in Los Angeles commuting back and forth. And so I hired the best tasting room manager I could find. And that really kind of got my winery off the ground.
Beautiful.
And as I said, but I was still commuting. I commuted for 9 years because I couldn't get out of some of the contracts. They kept extending them to the city. And so anyway, but during that time, I would go wine tasting on weekends when I was there, fell in love with the wine business and said, I've got to own a winery. I just have to.
That's what happens to a lot of folks. You just catch the wine bug and you're hooked. Like same thing for me. So just to move the story on just a little bit, because unfortunately we're going to be running out of time already. And I have,
oh my gosh.
So let me
go. Okay, you asked the question.
Yeah. What, you talked about the challenges and how you overcame them. What changes do you see? What have you witnessed? You've been in the wine industry. You've kind of been in it, been in the thick of it, and now you can observe it. What changes have you seen across the decades? And are you hopeful, optimistic about those changes?
I'm very optimistic about the changes, especially when it comes to Black entrepreneurs, winery owners, winemakers. There's all kinds of fields for people to find their niche in. And so I think that as you know, I attended the Hue Society event a couple weekends ago in Atlanta, and it was so exciting and rewarding, and it just gave me this real hope of accomplishment for the Black community, for young Black people starting. I mean, I was so inspired by, we've got sommeliers, we've got winery owners, we've got wholesalers. So there's any different kind of niche, like I said, for whatever your interest is in the wine business. And I see us from my tasting room experiences, I can see that we are being accepted now. We're being recognized. We're being, doors are opening.
Yes.
I mean, we don't have to worry about going to somebody else's tasting room and ask if they have library wines and have them ask us, what do we know about wine? Library wines, you know?
Right.
We know what we're doing now.
Right.
And it's just a matter of putting in the time. Like I said, I have put in 20 years. So it took a long time, a lot of challenges to overcome, but we're there. We're not going back.
Right.
I mean, we've got a professor marketing now, you know.
That's right.
It's so exciting. It really is.
That's wonderful. So if you could, think back to when you were starting your business, what is one piece of advice or you wish that someone had given you, or, now that you have hindsight in your favor, what's some advice you would give to folks who are in a position to, who are aspiring to start their business, or maybe they've already started and they're facing challenges? What words of wisdom can you share?
Well, I can speak more profoundly, I think, to people that are looking for tasting rooms and wineries, and being a winery owner myself. The first thing I'm going to say to them is, if you're going to open a tasting room, you have to find a perfect location. You need traffic. You need foot traffic, vehicle traffic, whatever that is. You need traffic, number one. Number two, capital. We just talked about capital a while ago. So many small businesses, whether it's the wine business or any other business, if you're undercapitalized, you're subject to fail. So in order to know what the real numbers are, you need to have income and expense projections, you need to have spreadsheets, you need to have forecasts, you need a mission statement that you're going to stick with, be determined no matter what the challenges are. I would always say, put your head down, not in defeat, but determined to work harder. Because it's going to be, you're going to have ups and downs. But again, like I said, it was also the best chapter of my life. I have no regrets at all. None.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So does that make sense? I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely. I think I even captured this in my report that if you are passionate about wine and winemaking, that may distract you, or you might not be as interested in looking at facts and figures and numbers and expense, sheets, spreadsheets, like you mentioned. That might not be your thing. So maybe even if it's not your thing, you do need to know those numbers, but you can hopefully invest in getting some help. There's lots of resources that are available. And I think that we sometimes don't take advantage of these resources that are around us.
Exactly.
I was speaking yesterday with Cuisine Noir and mentioning that, a lot of the Black wine entrepreneurs don't go for those certifications, either as a Black owned business or a woman owned, or both, Black woman owned business. Getting that designation perhaps could give you more opportunities. And in my study, I found that only like 1 out of 5, 20% were getting those designations. So I don't know if that was something that was useful to you or not, or if there were other resources you think would be useful for folks.
Well, I always say I don't know how to create spreadsheets. I'm not interested in creating them, but I learned how to read them. And just like you're saying, it may be difficult, according to your expenses, depending on your investment, let's say. Sometimes we fail to hire somebody that can really add to the success of our business when we, in fact, have to. Because you have to watch those numbers every single day, especially in the wine business, because they're subject to change. And you have to be on top of it. You can't be late,
Right.
You can't be late. You've got to know what's coming, and you've got to make adjustments for those. So I would say, yes, spreadsheets, I just believe in them. I just believe in you're not being undercapitalized and staying focused.
Right.
But passion's going to drive you through.
Yes.
It's going to take you through. And there's no business like the wine business. Be passionate.
I'm learning that. I am learning that. I've just been so inspired doing interviews with, winemakers like yourself and other wine entrepreneurs. Just, people at the end of the interview would say, thank you for hearing my story and for acknowledging it. And I'm like, no, thank you. You just gave me 6 months worth of inspiration.
That's great. That's right. That's your passion working. Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, I have one other thing I want to mention too.
Sure.
It was difficult for me to have white male winemakers in the winery because they did not like taking orders from a woman owner. So I was always in search of a Black winemaker or a woman winemaker. And I finally was able to hire one, not until 2014. Did women actually come out of the labs, and were called lab girls at the time, who were doing all the chemistry and the studies of the condition of the wines and so forth. And they would actually do the work, present it to the winemaker, and he got the credit for it. And so I was able to finally, like I said, hire a winemaker, and it was the best thing that I could have done. Because here's the thing. You cannot put wine in a bottle with your name on it without knowing what it is. You have to have a relationship with your winemaker. If you're not the winemaker, with your winemaker in order to establish the quality wine. And so I would always say that if it's going in a bottle with my name on it, I have to know what it is.
That's exactly I was going to add, it has your name on it. That's your reputation. That's, your identity. So you really want to make sure that you are making top quality, giving consumers, high quality wine. And we appreciate you for doing that. And I know that ultimately you wound up selling the winery. What was that process like? And how did you manage that emotionally? Like,
talking about a challenge, that was one. But like I said, it was after 20 years, and it was really my second retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only 80 at the time. So
oh my God.
I think that's another reason why.
I think that's a shame. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was getting tired. It was growing toward the next level. I needed some young blood in there with the kind of energy I had to begin with. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to stop my winery from growing. Right. So, but after I finally retired, I realized that it was the best thing that I could have done at the time. I never got bored. I loved it. And of course, I started writing my memoir. So that was the next thing to come along for me, and it's been a wonderful experience. Wonderful.
Well, let's talk about that, because I am waiting to get my hands on this memoir. I can only imagine the tales that you can tell. But, give us a little bit of an update. What can we expect from your memoir? When can we expect it? Where can we get it? Give us some more details on that.
Well, okay. So finding an agent to publish your book is even harder than writing a book. That was a new thing for me. I didn't know that. I thought everybody was going to want to, publish my book immediately.
Yeah.
And but it's just recent, and I can't give you too much information. But I'm really excited about it. It looks like I have an agent that's not only a woman, she is interested in memoirs and wine.
That's a trifecta.
So this is a perfect combination. Very difficult to find. I've been in search of this for the last year, honestly. And then the next thing I want it to be a documentary. I want it to be a docudrama. I want it to be a made-for-TV series.
I love that.
Yes.
You have to give me your vision. Who do you think could do you justice? Who could play Iris Rideau?
I always get asked that question, and it's really hard. I mean, because I look the way I do, and I'm Black. So the only person I could come up with was J-Lo at the time. Now, unfortunately, the emphasis of my story is really from age 40 to 59. So I've got to find somebody in that age category.
Okay.
And so I really don't know the answer to your question.
Who popped to mind immediately for me is Halle Berry.
I know. Unfortunately, see, she's wonderful, and I would love for her to play me. But I don't know that she can pass for white.
That's,
See, so that's my challenge. And I had to do that throughout my life, And I don't like the idea of even saying it, but it was essential.
Okay.
The way I was growing up in New Orleans in the South and all of that. So it was the only way for us to survive in the South, to find a job, to raise our kids and so forth. So anyway, so that's going to be up to my casting director.
Okay. Well, we look forward to that. We look forward to the book. As I said, I can't wait to get my hands on it. Anything else you would like to share? Maybe any parting thoughts just as you reflect on your life and reflect on how far you've come. I mean, it's just so inspiring, and we don't even know a quarter of the story, a fifth of the story, and it's just so inspiring. And you've been able to see all of these changes happen in the industry. You've been honored and recognized at the Wine and Culture Fest. You know, what is, I know the memoir is coming, but what do you see next in the memoir, the docudrama? What's going to be going on in your personal life? Anything, you know?
Well, don't you think that's going to be enough?
We're Wonder Women.
I mean, that's going to take me into a whole new world. You know, and I'm looking forward to that because I still have a lot of life left in me, as you can see and hear. And I'm not ready to stop. So I'm really looking forward to entering that phase of my life, and I hope that it goes on for a long, long time. But that's really what I want. I want a docudrama. I want TV series, whatever it is, because I want to reach more people.
Yes,
especially African American people. I wrote the book for women primarily, and I'm so glad to see that number, 78% of women in the industry, because the book is for women, especially, I don't care what color, but primarily Black women. And it's also for men as well, because we have to, while we've had our own challenges coming up as Black women, we still can appreciate their struggles as well. So I want them to gain something from my book as an inspirational, motivational book. So that's going to be my contribution to the Black world.
I love that. And we are so thankful for that. Again, we will keep our eyes open and ears waiting to hear more about that. It looks like we have a little bit more time than we expected. So
I guess I went too fast, huh? You told me to keep it short.
I know. Let's see.
Well, okay. Here's another thing I might add.
Okay.
So I'm going to be 85 next month. This month actually.
You're a September baby.
I'm September.
Okay.
And all the time I was building my winery, I kept saying, my mantra was, Iris, do not get involved with a man. They distract you. They're too much work. And you've got too much to do.
Yes.
And so
agreed.
I was focused, laser focused. And if he was I would say, if Jesus Christ is standing in front of me, I'm not going to see him.
I might have to draw the line there. I don't know.
So anyway, so I finally gave in, and now that I have some time, I do have a really nice man in my life. And he's taking me on a vacation. We're doing more traveling, which is really nice, and so I'm able now to see the accomplishments. I can stop. See, that's the other thing. When you're passionate and you have a drive, it's very difficult to stop and even look at your own successes. I mean, you have to just keep pushing and pushing because there's so many obstacles that you have to overcome. So I've learned to drive myself, and all of the adversities that I suffered early in childhood. I mean, and there's numerous ones that are in the book that I had to overcome as a child, and even being accepted into the business world, and just seeing how few businesses we had in the late 60s. This is going back, but so now I get a chance to relax, enjoy. I love California. I love the beach. I love going up to Northern California, Cambria, and all of that, and taking the time to look at my life and enjoy it. That's my reward.
I love that. You deserve it. You deserve it all. So
and I want to be there for you, and I do. I want to be there for you and all of the other Black women and men
Yes.
who are blazing their trail, making a way for themselves in what has always been a white man's world. So we're there. I mean, and like I said, we're not turning back.
Beautiful.
And I want to be a part of that.
I don't think you could have ended this on a better note. We appreciate you so much. We are so inspired by you. We'll be on the lookout for your book, of course, on Instagram. You're at Iris Rideau. And so, again, I just want to thank you so much for your time. And
thank you, Monique.
Thank you
for thinking of me and bringing me back to the fold.
That's right. That's where you deserve to be.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much, Ms. Rideau. And so next, I'd like to introduce our moderator for our panels, Mr. Ray Scholes.
Hello and hello. How's everyone doing? I hope all is well with everyone. I am looking forward to having this discussion with our next panel. And without further ado, let's go ahead and just get them introduced right away. As you already know, Dr. Monique Bell is here with us and will be a part of this panel as well. And then also we're going to bring in Mr. Donae. Donae, I had actually had the pleasure of meeting just maybe a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and absolute delight. I mean, this brother is absolutely killing it in the game. He is the owner of Fête Rosé, and he created this beautiful rosé and this beautiful brand to be inclusive of everyone. He is an HBCU grad, and I can't wait to chat with him, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say as far as being an entrepreneur here, in the States and internationally. So, Donae, how are you, brother?
I'm good, my man. I'm good. How are you this evening?
I am doing well. Cannot complain. Having a glass of wine and just kind of like listening in and just like taking tips and tricks and like really just listening to stories and all that good stuff. So, but I'm really, really looking forward to us having a conversation about where we are in the wine business today. And then maybe reflecting a little bit on where we were and where we're going.
Absolutely. I'm welcome.
Awesome.
I'm ready for the conversation.
Excellent. So we are also going to have a dear, amazing individual within the wine industry and who's really made like waves and has inspired me in particular, who is Fern from Black Vines. And Fern, I had a chance to meet in Atlanta at the Wine and Culture Fest. And when I tell you just a natural, like just genuine spirit and extremely humble, like I didn't expect Fern to be that humble. And I was just like, yo, you know who you are? Like, this is crazy. So Fern is the owner of Black Vines, who has been doing this. I think you're about to go on 11 years, but I believe right now is 10, and has been cultivating art and Black ownership as far as entrepreneurship, as well as far as in the wine industry, and kind of bringing those together along with community. And if I'm not mistaken, used to be in the whole tech world and recently decided to get out of the tech world to really pursue this passion of what Black Vines has grown into, which is a huge platform. So please, Fern, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Super humbled just by everything that's transpired over the last few years and extremely excited about what's to come. So I'm looking forward to tonight's discussion and just blessed to be in this space with so many wonderful folks.
Right.
Had the opportunity to meet Donae a while ago. I was trying to get him to Black Vines right before the pandemic shut down. So it's just a wonderful space to be when things come full circle. So excited about tonight, and thank you so much, Ray. You're equally amazing. Love what you're doing in the space.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. You do not have to be that kind. I appreciate it though. And Donae, I didn't know if you really had a chance to really speak to what you do, but we'll get into that here in just a second. We have one more panelist that we definitely have to introduce, and that's going to be Camillya. She is the owner and proprietor of Ebony Wines, which has actually had I feel like you've had a huge explosion recently, or uptick, if you will, over the past year. And although I haven't had a chance to taste your wines yet, I'm looking forward to it. But not only owner, but then also has this wine brand that's family owned, and really her family is really what's kind of like keeping it all together and kind of keeping everything going, kind of keeping the money in the family, kind of a thing. And also a mom at that, if I'm not mistaken. So like I'm very interested to kind of talk to you in a little bit about being a parent and then also being an entrepreneur in this space as well. So please welcome our panelists. So guys, first off, hello, good evening. How are you? What's going on? Like, I saw a few of you like in the past couple of weeks, and then I know we were all for the most part, me and Fern were at Wine and Culture Fest, and then Donae, we met at the restaurant down here in Miami not too long ago. So how are things in general? How are you all?
Yeah, listen, for me, it's a busy time. Summer is still here. Rosé season is still here. We're not slowing down. In fact, business is picking up month over month. We've now expanded to 35 states. So you can imagine from 9 states last year to 35, it's a very busy time. But wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I think it's an amazing time in the wine industry overall. So we're very blessed and thankful and excited. Exciting times.
Awesome.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry. Looks like Ray had a technical glitch, so I'm going to wait until Ray comes back. Camillya, I know you were doing a quick introduction, so looks like Ray's back. Let me add him to the stream. Hey Ray.
So sorry about that. Yes, I was having a little technical difficulty apparently. Just kind of kicked me out for a second. But please, yes, continue with the introduction. Not sure if I can hear you. Fern, you want to go ahead and jump in?
Sure. I mean, we're gearing up for 2022. Looking forward to all things to come. Continuing to build partnerships, and we're just super excited to see the growth and the explosion. It's exponential, like year over year, and 2020 has positioned folks to really take over. We are positioned in a manner that is so exciting. So just looking forward to more things like this, opportunities to connect, and just continuing to grow and building as many Black millionaires in the wine space as we possibly can, and building generational wealth. That's the core of our mission. So, we're excited and and just super inspired.
So awesome. So there we go.
Can you guys hear me now?
Absolutely.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Of course, guys, I'm the founder and CEO of Ebony Wine and Spirits, and thank you so much for that introduction. It's an amazing time here at Ebony Wine and Spirits. We are spreading our love and our celebration of Black unity and culture around the world. Right here, in the United States, we have been welcomed with a big hug from so many people in the wine industry. I tell people all the time, I am a serial entrepreneur, but I'm a student in wine. And with that being said, we have had so much support and so much love, and just almost like a handheld situation in this wine journey. Pretty much any questions that we've had that I've had, and any direction that I've needed, I've had so many people from within this industry who have just been there to guide and to support and to really represent what we're doing within the industry, and to take it up to next level by supporting each other and showing each other the way. So I'm so excited to be a part of this trailblazing time within the wine industry.
Excellent. Thank you all. And really appreciate all of you being a part of the panel tonight. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some questions. First and foremost, right? How did you decide, or how did you get into the wine business? And Fern, if you want to take that away and let us know, like, how did you start with this? How did you get into this? Like, what was the thing behind it?
Let me be very honest. I had no idea I was in the wine industry. I was in the industry of Black people and community. And we just wanted to figure out, I don't know if you got, okay. We were just trying to figure out a way to celebrate Black folks. We were trying to figure out a way that we can bring community together. And being, miles away from the United States capital of wine, we wanted to really delve into see, are there Black winemakers out there? And if so, how can we highlight them? But we weren't in the industry per se. We were just trying to figure out how we can support Black folks and how we can build bridges to unite like arts, culture, and came along kind of like a wonderful bridge to bring all of that together. So I realized I was actually told I was in the wine industry by a mentor who came along. Like, not only were we we were the longest standing like wine festival in Oakland at the time, and so I was like, well, it's not a festival, we just doing an event. And my mentor, it was actually Melody Fuller, who was like, no, you're a wine festival and you're in the industry. And that's when I learned about industry discounts. So
those can be important.
Hey, it was just it's been very humbling. And once I learned I was in this industry, I felt it was very much my duty to learn. So I've just kind of nosedived into learning the wine industry, volunteering as much as I can, just trying to learn every aspect of the business and how we can best support and be of service to Black winemakers. And so that's kind of like our journey in. And you have no idea how inspiring it is to see where the industry is September 9th, 2021. Like, from where we started to where we are now, it's beautiful. And that's kind of the entry.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I remember when I first got into the industry, I didn't see anybody else that looked like me. So wasn't necessarily scared, but it was just like, man, I don't like see any of us. And you know, the moment that I did, it was just such a big relief and like, okay, I'm like, all right, cool, we're doing this. And you know, to see, you know, all of us, you know, 2 weeks ago, two weekends ago, and now it's just like it's night and day. So I can sympathize and I truly understand that for sure. Um, but yeah, but Donae, tell me, you know, what motivated you to kind of get into this whole industry? Because you have an
Yeah.
interesting background, and I don't know if people know, but like, you know, you've been doing like the high-end spirits and wine thing for a long time, working with the LVMH group or Moet Hennessy group, and doing, you know, things with them. So, like, what motivated you to kind of get into this?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was out of college. I was an IT consultant, and I knew I didn't want to do that at all. It was one of those things where I'd already matriculated and paid the money to get the degree, so I couldn't necessarily just not do it. But I was introduced to this wine and spirits industry actually as a promotional, not a promotional model, but I was definitely the guy handing out drink tickets in the nightclub. And I just really fell in love with that side of the industry. And from there, I quit my job age 26, 27, and started an entry-level job at the promotions agency for Moet de Chandon and Hennessy Cognac, being their brand ambassador in the market. So that was my foray, my entry into the wine and spirits business. And then I moved up over the years, working across the entire LVMH portfolio, pretty much, both Clicquot, Belvedere Vodka, Moet de Chandon, Dom Perignon. And then my final stint before starting Fête Rosé was a 3-year regional marketing director, sales and marketing director role with Champagne Armand de Brignac, aka Ace of Spades. So it was definitely not the traditional route into the business, but I have been in it now for over 16, 17 years. But never really on the wine side, more on the sparkling wine, champagne side is where I spent the vast majority of my career. But I've also worked on a lot of the spirit brands. So to your point, Ray, I was kind of beat over the head with the luxury wine and spirits mindset. So it was definitely heavily ingrained in me, and it was something that I used as a benchmark when I launched Fête Rosé.
Nice, nice. All right, so we got to swing it back over to Ebony Wine and Spirits right quick. What's going on? Like, how did you start this whole thing? Because, like, I find your story quite interesting. So, like, can you share like how you ended up and how you got into the industry? What motivated you to do so?
Big on affirmations and writing different things. And when I was in college, I would, of course, have go to events, and I would find myself, of course, enjoying wine. But what was different from me, I would always read the back of the label, or we would be at sip and paints or different events, and I would always just say like, "Oh, what kind of wine is this?" or "Whose wine is this?" But it wasn't until I graduated college and I was, just being a mom, then I, really started to travel and to experience different wine, just scenarios. And I would never see myself as a melanated woman, as a Congolese woman. It was really times where I would go to different vineyards, or I would be with, different friends and colleagues, and I would never see myself, but I also did not see myself when I would Google who has this wine or what type of wine is this. And so with that, I just really wrote it down and, remember saying one day, I want to have my wine. I want to start a wine brand. I want to, learn about wine. And from that, I really just started doing the research. I know people have this long drawn out story of what just inspired them, but I was inspired by the simplest of things, by not seeing myself, but also realizing that 10 years from now, I want my daughter to see herself. I wanted my friends to see themselves. And then I wanted them to know, hey, this is an option for you while you are in college. And so that was like kickstart. I didn't, per se go to school for wine. I didn't, have, tons of funds or background in wine. It was just a thought, an idea, and a concept. Which is something very simple, but that's something that could really change, you know, the direction of what your goals and your dreams are. And that's what I knew at that moment. This was what I wanted to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And extremely inspiring at the same time. Like, that's crazy. That's awesome. So I'm gonna stay with you for a second, and I'd love to know, like, what's been your biggest challenge so far? You know, there's so many different things, so many different variables, in just having a business. But then there's even more variables when you start talking about wine and spirits and anything that has anything to do with alcohol whatsoever. So, like, tell me, like, what's been like your biggest challenge in maintaining the business? And like, if you can touch on like starting the business as well.
Okay, well, one of my biggest challenges were coming into this. I had these top tier goals, and I came into this and I was running, and I would find myself looking at my friend's paper. If you could understand what I'm saying, I'm looking over here and I'm like, oh my God, like they're doing so amazing. You know, I know that I can do it, but maybe if I just do it like this, I'll be, you know, the brand will grow and I can, you know, it'll be just that amazing. So my biggest challenge, honestly, as I think about it now, it was me. It was definitely me, and understanding the concept that, hey, you're not them, they're not you, and what you're going to do in this industry is not what they've done. You're going to do it your way. And if you're going to succeed, you have to keep your eyes on your paper, and you have to do it in the concept of what you see your vision as. And once I, you know, keep it, I'm a person who likes to keep it simple. Once I got out of the way of that, things started to flow. And the energy came in a sense of, hey, you don't even have to question how you're going to do this. I'm going to give you these answers. So, of course, you know, when we talk about capital, as a serial entrepreneur, I knew quite a few things about capital. So I knew how, per se, to get started, and I would reinvest into our own businesses for my other small businesses. But the challenge again was me keeping my eyes on my own paper and being focused in the concept of executing what I really wanted to do and to do it my way.
Nice, nice. Fern, how about you? You know, like, what's been like the biggest challenge of kind of, you know, keeping the business going? And then if you can touch a little bit on, you know, the biggest challenge in starting.
I think we were pretty lucky in that we did not know what we were getting into, so we did not foresee like a lot of challenges. Our biggest challenges were making sure that we were supporting and representing our partners in the highest um, at the highest level of at a level of execution that was unrivaled. I really liked what Camillya said with regards to staying focused on what we do, staying focused on your purpose. The thing about it is, and this is something that we continuously kind of come back to within Black Vines, is we are Black Vines. We're not anything else but Black Vines. And so our focus is, how do we serve our winemaker community, our partner community, and our attendees? And how do we execute and become better every single day? How do we learn more? How do we serve better? And so challenges are primarily just around securing capital, making sure that we're making, it's not about making bad decisions, learning from every decision that's made, whether it's good or bad, because we're here to learn. What happened yesterday does not have to determine what you do today, and tomorrow's not promised. So we're focusing on being excellent in this moment, and that's all that we can consume ourselves with. And so that's kind of like the vein that we continue to stay in. Hurdles will continue to come, and we're just going to navigate them as they come. So like the biggest challenge, I really loved what the sister said, because it's like you are your biggest challenge in most things that come your way. And once you get over that, um, the sky is the limit for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, very well said. Very well put. Donae, brother, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think
what's the challenge?
Coming from the large wine and spirits company and seeing the way distributors and retailers just fall in line for those brands, and then starting my own brand and them not responding the same way that I was used to them responding on the other side, has been one of the biggest challenges and most humbling experiences. So it's a fight for me every day, because I've seen what they've done for the bigger brands that I've worked for. I've seen, a brand release a line extension that we all know is bad, but retailers just pick it up because. So when people say, "Oh, I have enough rosés," or the rosé category is saturated, it's really frustrating from a distributor and retailer standpoint when I get that sort of feedback, knowing what I saw on the other side from these major suppliers and wine and spirits companies. So that's been one of the biggest challenges and humbling experiences overall. So we fight with that every day.
Awesome. Cool. So like, how do you, I'm gonna stick with you for a second. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, how do you deal with, the mental health that kind of like, how do you take care of your mental health, I should say, because it can be a lot of stress, not only just having your own business, but then like adding on top of the fact, the different avenues that you have to deal with within your businesses. Like, how do you all deal with your mental health? How do you make sure that you're being healthy and taking care of yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a twofold. I think there's one, you have to go to those people that are supporting you. So places like Happy Cork and Three Parks, they support you, they sell your brand, they get behind you. It reinvigorates you when you hear no so much, to hear those yeses, and especially from our community. And then I have a portion of pettiness in me. So when you tell me no, I become very vindictive that I'm going to prove you wrong and show you that you were wrong. So it's twofold. One, being reassured by your base, your community, and then also the pettiness or the drive I have to prove people wrong when they tell me something can't be done.
I love it. I love it. All right, so we're gonna change Donae's display name to Petty Pendergrass. It'd be really dope. Appreciate that. Camillya, tell me about how you deal with your particular health, your mental health, with being a serial entrepreneur and having this beautiful company that you've built. Like, how do you take care of yourself?
Well, the wine and spirits industry is a different beast. And I think you really need to have tough skin coming into this industry, because I have been told no a lot. I have had, doors closed on me, or, not return phone calls and different things like that. But in the sense where this is where I really have been able to lean on others within this industry. And I say others because everyone's not going to be able to relate, because they haven't went through what you're going through. So they don't know how, you've worked so hard for something, and you say, hey, well, now I have the distribution. So now all I need to do is get it in the store. So I know if I can just talk to them, they'll listen to me. That may not be the case. You may not even know the reason why they don't want you in their store. Your wine can be the most amazing wine on the market, but guess what? I still may not like you. And you know what? In those senses, it has to be okay. And that's when I lean on my wine. I call them my wine cousins, because we even have like group chats and different messaging things where I get that moment to vent. I get the time to, I've had times where I cried, because it can be a lot in this industry of, just getting started and just wanting that one opportunity. And so for me, one, I'm definitely a praying woman. I'm definitely a woman of meditation. I am very into just working on me spiritually so that I can withstand what goes on in this industry. And I would say to anybody who is considering getting into this industry, that yes, it's beautiful, and yes, you're gonna see, you might can see all the things on the outside that look glamorous, but it's work, and in the midst of doing the building, you are going to need those people, that tribe, to be around you, to lean on, because without that, I don't believe that I would still be going, honestly. So I'm very thankful for, my tribe. I call them my wine cousins, who, just always lift me up, who keep me going. And of course, I have an amazing family, an amazing team, and I could not do this without them.
Wine cousins. I want to sign up to be a wine cousin. Can I be a wine cousin? Is that
Come
cool?
on.
You've been recruited, y'all. Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with you for a quick second, and I have to ask you, because you have, your brand has a really amazing presence. Are there any tactics or strategies that you would, kind of advise or give to, other brands that are trying to do the same thing, or people that look at you today and say, man, I really want to do that. Like, I could really see myself in her. Are there any tips and tricks that you would, kind of like give to someone thinking that, this is what they want to do, or knowing that they want to do?
I would say, if you believe in your heart that this is what you want to do, then go for it. There is no one stopping you but you. And what would I say? I would say our tricks are: push this envelope. We are here breaking all the rules. I have a creative director who is 18 years old and who is a freshman at A&T State University. So we are in this market to give people what they want, but we're giving them us. We're giving them our energy, and we're here to make wine exciting and make it fun, but make you feel it. I think, to me, coming in the wine industry, what I felt was missing was for our brand was the feeling, because it's different. You can have an amazing wine, but make them fall in love with it. You're marketing to, I love my cousins in wine, but my cousins in wine are not my target market. My target market are the consumers. And so that's my wine family. So now I need to make you feel and fall in love with what I love, and that's my job. And so in this, if you love wine and your wine that you created the way you love it, then your job is to show them why you love it and build your tribe around that brand, and literally go for the gusto. Because the only answer other than yes is no, and that's okay. And everybody isn't put here to like your brand, but the people who like your brand, they're going to fall in love with your brand. And I see that. It's people who, when I go to we call it the Ebony Wine Experience Tour. So I'm going to different states, everywhere. And I just remember going to Atlanta, and we did this event, and I walked in there, y'all. It was so many people. I was so surprised. I knew people were going to come. I was hoping they would come, but I didn't know to what scale they were going to come. And so
Right.
That means that we fell in love in the sense of connecting. And so I would say to anybody coming to this industry, make sure you love your brand enough that you're ready for people to connect with you and your brand, because they want to fall in love with what you are, not just your brand, not just the brand, but you. They want to see you.
Authenticity.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So we're actually going to be moving into our next panel. I just got a message saying that, Ray, be quiet. You're talking too much. You ask too many questions, which is very normal of me, right? For those that know me. But we're going to be moving into our next panel here. But thank you all so much, and for being on the panel. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. And thank you for what you do on a daily basis for the community. Thank you so much for being that inspiration. And I can tell you truly, at least from my perspective, that you all have inspired me to do something different, in a different way. So thank you for being someone that I can see, and being someone that we all can see in the industry, and see ourselves in. So thank you so much for pushing, because I know it's not easy, and I know it's not always ideal, but we really appreciate it.
So thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So coming up on our next panel is going to be some really amazing women I've had a pleasure of meeting. And one is going to be the owner, and you've probably heard Donae speak about her. She is the owner of Happy Cork out in Brooklyn. Shouts out to Brooklyn. And it is sunshine. Man, I tell y'all, she is full of energy and light and love. But she has a really amazing dope spot that, if I'm not mistaken, focuses a lot on Black-owned brands, and is really one of those people that's like an advocate for people that look like us. So everyone, please welcome Sunshine Foss.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Ray. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I mean,
I have
feel
my
like
Fête in the background. I have my Fête, all my Fête. So Donae is all the love, and soon Ebony, we're bringing it in. So it's all love. I'm so happy to be here.
No, I'm happy that you're here. I mean, we got a chance to kind of hang out a little bit, and I was
a lot of it. We had a chance to hang out a lot of it.
I was trying to be modest, you know what I mean? I was trying to be a little modest, like, I didn't hang out with this superstar all weekend.
Everyone that's gonna be jealous. We hung out a lot of it, okay?
Listen, I don't need that kind of envy. I don't need that kind of envy. But yeah, we was hanging out a lot of it.
Yes.
Definitely a fun experience. I can't wait to do it again, and I'm definitely gonna come up and see you in Brooklyn, because I gotta come check you out. So
yes,
look forward to that.
You have to.
Oh, definitely. So our next panelist is also going to be an owner of a wine shop. There she goes. 3 Parks. And like, I really love the name 3 Parks. I was always wondering about 3 Parks, and I'm pretty sure that you can tell us a little bit better than I could. So I'm going to let you do that.
Okay.
But ladies and gents, this is Sarah Pierre, Sarah Pierre. She is absolutely fantastic. I got a chance to hang out with her a lot of it as well. And again, another person that's just like full of life and like really wants to share what she does and the knowledge and wine, and is very passionate. So please, before anything, just tell us about 3 Parks. Why 3 Parks?
What's up? So 3 Parks is, so we are definitely like a neighborhood wine shop, super community driven, and we're in a park. So the store is in Glenwood Park, and right outside of Glenwood Park is Ormond Park, and then on the other side of that is another park, which is called Grant Park. So it's 3 parks. So Glenwood Park, Grant Park, Ormond Park. So it sounds like super, super clever in this great name, but really it's just, we're centrally located between 3 parks. So that's it.
That's
3
the name.
Parks. But yeah,
I love the name. It's a beautiful name.
Yeah.
The name is beautiful. So yeah, take it for what it is. Yes,
exactly.
3 Parks, you did it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a small, super quaint, but like we pack a lot of wine in a small space, and it's good. It's fun.
Awesome. So last but certainly not least, we have Selena Cuffe, who I haven't had the chance to meet, but I'm actually wondering if we might be related, because like by marriage, because my wife's maiden, or her mother's maiden name is Cuffe. So I'm like, we're gonna have to rap after this, and really we might be kinfolk. We might be kin.
If only my last name, and it could be still related to my husband, wasn't Cuffe, then perhaps we might be relatives.
Probably.
But if she's got roots in Jamaica, then maybe.
Well, I mean, Caribbean, she's Trini. So
okay,
like,
so they could be relatives.
Kind of hop around those islands, which probably explains why I say Cuffe, because like it's spelled the same way, but that's how they pronounce it. So It
Yes.
could be, how things change. So,
Absolutely.
so Miss Selena, you are the founder of Heritage Brands, right?
Heritage Link Brand.
And yes, Heritage Link Brands, and you've done quite a bit. I remember, kind of reading through some of your accomplishments, and like you've done like quite a bit. And I was really like taken back, like what? Like this was confusing because you like look amazing, one, and two, I'm like, when did you have time for all of these wonderful accomplishments? So, I believe you were in tech, if I'm not mistaken, and also, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because I have definitely been a jack of all trades, and never in a million years did I think that I would get into the wine industry. And honestly, it has been a journey that I would say is more rooted in a love for people, and specifically Black people, which is what inspired me to enter the industry, gosh, almost 17 years ago. It's crazy because 2005 was a very significant year in my life generally. I got married in April of 2005, decided to, after learning that South Africa had a $3 billion wine industry, but less than 1% was owned by Black South Africans. And sadly, that number has not really changed a whole lot. I founded Heritage Link Brands really to leverage wine as the medium through which to tell a different story, to also encourage greater Black wealth through the wine industry. And then a month after that happened, I found out that I was pregnant with my first child of eventually 3. So I feel like things have been nonstop ever since 2005, to be honest with you.
Wow. I mean, jeez, yeah. I mean, whew, craziness, craziness. So I'm gonna jump right into it so we can get down to the nitty gritty, because there are quite a few questions that I have for all of you. But first and foremost, I'd love to know what you all have currently going on, in your own perspectives. So, Sunshine, what's going on with you right now? What do you have going on? What's cooking?
Well, we have Happy Cork is always cooking. So we're always doing something new, something fresh, something innovative. We have taken our in-store tastings online and gone virtual. However, we've started to introduce our in-store tastings. So we have a lot of new brands landing and back to being like dope again, having people in the store and being able to like try the wines, enjoy the wines, meet the brands and meet the different winemakers. But again, we have like so many interesting new things happening. So you guys have to stay tuned because there's a lot happening.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right. And Sarah, how about for you?
So yeah, same thing. We're doing in-person tastings. Finally, super excited about that. So we have a newly designed patio, which has been super clutch because everyone's out there drinking. So we're doing flights and wine tastings. So we have our suppliers and importers coming and doing tastings outside. And then just lots of fun programming. We've switched up our wine club a little bit. What else? All kinds of things. It's never ending, right? Nice. We're just like always staying like innovative and kind of creating and doing, anything to keep people really excited and engaged. And yeah, hopefully like big things happening in the future. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Selena, how about you?
Oh, I'm staying busy for sure. 2 weeks before the pandemic occurred, I decided to partner with Urban Magic Johnson to really try to have greater impact than just one particular sector of the wine industry. And what I mean by that is, while for sure this journey in wine has been transformational, and when I think about even the relationship that my children have to the wine industry, They think about our producers in South Africa and in Brazil as auntie and uncle, because they have virtually grown up with me learning and doing and being an entrepreneur in the industry, making investments in the Seven Sisters Winery, and just being able to see, no pun intended, the fruits of the labor of that experience. And so in this evolution, one of the things that has, since we hit the 10-year anniversary of Heritage Link Brands in 2015, the thought was, how do we do this in a way that brings more people into the fold? How do we do this in a way that we grow Black wealth beyond just wine, with respect to agriculture, with respect to food and beverage, and just different products that improve and enhance quality of life? And I, over the past 18 months, have been really trying to and successfully growing the number of Black-owned businesses and diverse businesses that are brought into the food and beverage ecosystem as a result of a partnership with what was once and is a client of mine in Sodexo, which is ironically how I met Magic, was in being able to do things when we would fly our wines on international flights, either with Delta, American, or United Airlines. In the Sky Club lounges, which were managed by Sodexo, we would bring in our producers from South Africa to interact and experience the wines and the stories behind them in real time. And so what's exciting is, as president of SodexoMAGIC, which is a $600 million enterprise that has roughly 6,000 employees throughout the country, I now get to focus on bringing more diverse suppliers into the fold to subcontract with us. When I started, roughly 24% of our spend was with diverse suppliers. I'm proud to say that by the end of the 2020 fiscal year, we were doing 49.5% of our business with diverse suppliers. So even my fellow entrepreneurs that are on this panel, I would love to figure out ways to collaborate and work with you, because a rising tide lifts all boats. My decision to come into the wine industry, honestly, was for the love of our people and trying to figure out ways to grow that. So that is what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I still stay very actively involved with Heritage Link Brands, but now as a board member as opposed to an operator. And we are also investors in the Seven Sisters Vineyards in Stellenbosch, South Africa, where we are raising funds today to build out a wine center for all of the Black-owned brands that are in the country. The Seven Sisters today is still the only Black-owned vineyard in the country. And we and the sisters are using their land as a catalyst to bring others in, so that as people are traveling along the Stellenbosch wine route, they have a single unique place to go where they're going to feel the love of community, as we hopefully get to bring other owners of land into the fold. Because for me, it's not just about the wine, it's about the land ownership. It's about asset and wealth accumulation for our people.
Yep.
Nice. So
I know, that's amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
I love
all
it.
The flowers,
I love it.
all the roses. Yes. Let's go. Let's go.
You guys
So
are
kind of
so
staying-
inspiring, like so inspiring. I want a patio, Sarah, and I want to go to South Africa. So like, you guys are absolutely amazing. I'm so honored to be on this panel with you.
Likewise, sis.
Same.
Likewise.
Same.
No, I'm just happy that I'm here in the same room, just listening. So, and being able to ask these questions. But I kind of want to stick with South Africa for a second, and I would love to know just how important do you think it is for people that want to start their own brands to look into South Africa or any other country for that matter, to start these brands there rather than, domestically here?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I'm indifferent with respect to whether or not you start the brands stateside versus on the continent. I think my desire to connect with South Africa and to continue to do business with the continent beyond just South Africa is, again, rooted in a love for our people, and always feeling like if you don't want to do business with me, I don't have to do business with you. I'm going to go do business with communities and lens towards either activating customers or consumers that understand and appreciate the value that I bring and the value that the businesses that I create either in partnership or as an advisor or board member, I want to do that with people that also see the value. I just not going to, I just don't feel like I have to limit myself, and above and beyond all of it, I think that there is competitive advantage to going after markets that are not as popular as where everyone else is going to sell to. So in some ways, it's just being strategic about how I can differentiate and or bring value to bear that hasn't been done a million times over and can capture profitable benefits as a result of making those decisions. Obviously, doing a lot of due diligence beforehand, hopefully learning lessons from those that came before us, partnering for sure. I definitely don't think that I know it all or that I have to be the only one at the table. I hate the idea of being the only one in the room or in the table. So a lot of it just comes from trusting each other and understanding that we can do this.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Very well said. Thank you for that. And what would you say so far, like in this wine industry, has been your biggest lesson?
Biggest lesson is I use my own money at the beginning. I would never, ever, ever tell anybody to do that. Go out and do a proper fundraise. When I started the business, it was before the real estate crash. And so I would get 0% APRs all the time. And I just used them like my own personal bank. And as the business grew, my family grew, right? Now I've got a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And they're all in private school and they have needs. And honestly, it was a struggle. And I've probably lived more like a college student for many of those 15 or 16 years than I needed to had I gone out and gotten the money a different way. I think the struggle with us as Black people trying to get, whether it's venture capital money or private loans, is number one, our community is undercapitalized because we still have to make, we as a country have to make good on the 40 acres and a mule. I don't see how this country gets around reparations. And now we're just adding to the list of things that we need reparations for. But I know that's a different conversation, but it's rooted in access to resource, to be able to do things and be able to offer value propositions that ultimately create value that benefit more than just, local community. If we're trying to do things that are at scale or at impact, it's going to take more than, what you might have saved up in the bank.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So basically, in short, somebody else's coin, not your coin.
Yes, because that's really the way that you do it. And you also have to think about ventures, the way that ventures are financed. It's with, in some ways, a medium to long-term forecast in mind. And the fact that you might have to lose money for 6 or 7 years before you get things to scale and to a place where it's ready either to be recapitalized or taken to IPO. And I think that we as African Americans face many challenges. One of them obviously is in people perceiving us to be as intellectually strong to be able to run and organize businesses, because Americans aren't used to seeing us in mass in those roles. And so now that we know better, hopefully in this, age of racial awakening, then now we need to properly fund Black businesses unapologetically, because we know that we have the experience it takes to be successful.
Right. Yeah. Now, Sunshine, I have to ask you, like myself, you are an advocate for the community as far as Black-owned wines or Black winemakers and so on and so forth. So I have to ask you, what's been like the most rewarding aspect of what you have accomplished so far? Like, what's been out of all your accomplishments, what's like the most rewarding thing for you?
I don't know. I feel like everything is rewarding. I feel like every day there's a new reward. Honestly, I think having like customers come in and try a lot of these wines that they typically wouldn't try. I just did a panel today with PayPal, And one of the guys who was on there was like, my favorite wine what kept me through this pandemic was Black Girl Magic. And I'm like, you drank Black Girl Magic? So I think having like these wines touch the hands of people that would typically not have these wines and spirits in their hands, that's definitely a rewarding part of it. And then I think the community, how they've been able to receive us, and the way that we just converse with our community, we are one-on-one with our community. That definitely has been like a super amazing blessing. So I think that is definitely a rewarding part of being in the business. I got into the business not knowing anything about the wine business, or even that I was getting into this like change maker space, which we have been able to make such a change and create such a diverse platform for these brands that in itself, I'm just like, you talked about a seat at the table. I think we're like making the table. I'm setting the table. I got plates. Sarah, you putting the glasses on the table. We are at the table. So I think this is the rewarding part of seeing, like, we went to the Wine and Culture Fest last week and seeing so many amazing people just embrace this community. That has been so beautiful to watch for me. I think that's definitely our community. I said a whole bunch, but our community, everything about this like wine industry, this diverse wine industry, has been beautiful and rewarding to see.
Excellent.
And being with you guys, of course.
Big facts, absolutely. Definitely being with y'all. That's a huge reward. Sarah, now you have a hospitality background. So you were in restaurants, right? Mm-hmm. So yep. How was like that transition from, hospitality, doing restaurants, to wine and having your own shop? Like, what was that like?
I guess what it did was give me a bit of an advantage, but a differential advantage. Like I opened a store a little bit differently than the average person who had a retail store, a retail wine shop. I treated it like it was a restaurant, right? So you came in, it was really friendly, there was music playing, and granted, I definitely learned how to sell wine a little bit differently than I used to in the beginning, because I was kind of treating it restaurant style. But yeah, I took the same approach. I made it a very warm, welcoming space, a place where people wanted to be, a place where people wanted to hang out. When I opened, you went into a wine shop, it was collectors, it was very stuffy. The music was very quiet. It's just a different style of shopping for wine at the time. So I was just like, well, I got to make it myself. So, and I only know one thing. I've never worked in a retail store before I opened the store, and this was almost 9 years ago. And in Atlanta, there was a handful of retail stores. I guess there was a lot, but no one really doing what I was doing. And I was just like, it's got to be fun because I have to be comfortable in the space that I'm in, but I also want every single person to be really comfortable. And yeah, the goal was to make a very approachable place. So I took what I knew and I ran with it. And it worked. Yeah, it worked. And it worked.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it worked. And it's working.
Yeah, it's still working. It's still working.
It's working. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm sure you guys had a chance to take a look at Dr. Bell's research, which is why we're all here. So I have to touch on that for a quick second. And, in Dr. Bell's research, I believe it was about 50% of Black wine businesses are typically self-funded. So Selena, I'd like to speak to the point that you were talking to before. Obviously for you, if it was anything that you were going to change, would probably be not being self-funded the way that you did, or the way that you started. But I wonder, do you regret, or is there any regret, or is there any, like, not necessarily regret, but is there something, is it worth it to risk it for what you're doing right now? Because I feel like everyone's living their dream and living their best life right now. Right. So, is it worth it? All that struggle, and all the sacrifice. Because when you're putting up money for your own business, which most of the time it's a lot of money, it's a lot of capital to do so. Is it worth it where you are currently and where you see yourself in the future?
Well, I think because of the nature of the cultural and political significance of our business model and who it was that we decided to partner with, the wineries we decided to invest in, I don't think that a lot of my professional success could have happened without first starting Heritage Link Brands. Me working as, in brand management at Procter & Gamble, I give a lot of credit to helping me figure out how to commercialize and go to market with Heritage and with the brands that we have brought in over the years. But had it not been me going out on a limb with no wine experience to start and eventually taking classes through WISET, getting my level 2 designation and doing the things necessary to kind of earn my chops, I would not be on the Council on Foreign Relations. I would not be on the soon-to-be Economic Advisory Council for the Federal Reserve Bank. I think a lot of that has come through the struggle, right? The struggle of having to figure out a way during the crash, and when my largest customer laid off 5,000 people, including their entire marketing group. And I was stuck holding the bag with like $500,000 worth of wine, figuring out how I was going to pay for it. Like in those moments, you really figure out like how you're built. And so to say, was it worth it? Absolutely. It was worth it. Absolutely. And I think that my husband and I, that's the other dynamic of Heritage Link Brands, is I am in business with my husband. I get to see him every day. And, at some point the pillow talk, we were struggling to have the pillow talk and had to make a decision like whether or not I wanted the business, my marriage, or I got to figure out a way to do them both a different way. And I think that all of those experiences created not just business, but it created an infrastructure for what I now teach my children and how they think about business and what they think about in terms of consumption of just consumer goods. So I wouldn't change it. I just would change the way that I financed it.
Gotcha. Excellent. Ladies, anything else to add to that?
I completely agree with Selena with just getting funding otherwise, but I do think if you can fund yourself, I'm a huge advocate for being able to fund yourself. I think if you do have the capabilities of doing so, then do it, because then you kind of don't owe anyone. And so not only don't owe anyone, but you don't owe anyone any answers either. So I can basically do whatever I want, right? But I do understand, where you are coming from, but I'm a huge advocate for, if you are able to do so, definitely go for it and do it, because then you don't owe anyone any money or any answers or anything. You can just do your own thing.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
And I think that the other piece of going it and doing it your way means that, you don't have to answer to anyone or to theoretically a board. And sometimes, financial investors, which we now have, they have their own vision for how things go.
Exactly.
And there are absolutely trade-offs. I would say the biggest thing for anyone that's trying to make the decision on whether or not to take outside funding or to decide to self-finance is one just might take more time. Right. So it just then becomes a question of time and scale, and, and there's nothing wrong with taking your time.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. As I continue to talk to more business consultants and people who are kind of going through some financial analysis, I'm realizing that, because I'm like, I want to be self-funded, but I think in terms of the scaling that I want to do, I might not have a choice but to reach out to people for just for investments. I might actually need investors, and I didn't think I ever would. And I always said I might not, and I was self-funded, for 3 parks right now. But I think with the scale that I'm trying to do, now it's time, right? Because what I can't do is I'm not in the position to bleed my own pot, right?
Yeah,
I can't.
Absolutely.
Now I have to keep my kitty's got to stay full. And now I need investors to assist in the scaling that I'm working on right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I never thought I would be even at that place, but different conversations as you grow,
No, but that means that you're growing. So that I'm all for it. You need funding for growth. I'm all for it. I think it's amazing. I commend you on the success of the brand. And, we met this past weekend and I love everything about you. I can't wait. We were trying to coordinate to come see the space.
I know.
It's going to happen.
In New York.
We're going to be doing it up in New York. So when you come, I'm here waiting.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So that's all that we have for tonight. Although I think that actually I have to ask this one last question, and I hope Uncorked Culture doesn't kill me about it. But
they're gonna kill us.
If there was, yeah, absolutely, definitely gonna kill me. That's it. Stick a fork in me. I'm good. I'm done. But my question to you all is, what is it that we all can do as a community, whether in the trade or not in the trade, do to help support our Black businesses and make sure that we can sustain and do the things that we need to do? And like you said, you want to upscale and do some different things. What is it that the community can do in order to kind of support?
Well, I mean, this is the foundation of the support, right? Having these panels is just the baseline of it all. Mentorship, one-on-one conversations. There's a lot of, cohorts that people can join, small business cohorts that you can get involved in, just so you can learn the fundamentals of business. And then outside of that, right, because it's just the basics that you'll learn. And then outside of that, you can legitimately find someone that is a business mentor that can assist, and someone doing what you do or what you want to do, that is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sunshine? How does the community help Black-owned businesses succeed and continue and thrive?
I think it's about supporting these brands. We have an amazing assortment. I do count myself on having the largest assortment of diverse brands in the store. So it's really about just supporting these brands, not only supporting, but actually seeking them out. I think we saw a huge push for supporting Black-owned brands and Black-owned businesses, and that needs to continue. Everyone was posting and sharing and supporting and going to all these different Black-owned businesses, and that needs to continue. I think in order for just even this to continue to happen, that has to happen. So you have to have the support from the community of all these amazing brands in order for them to keep on producing amazing products. So I definitely think the support and seeking out these brands and seeking out specific restaurants or bars or whatever to support goes such a long way. You don't even realize it, but it does. I can bring in a brand new brand that is beautiful, a great tasting product, and no one buys it. There's no point. But supporting these brands speaks volumes, and that goes such a long way.
Right. Don't let Black be a trend.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Miss Selena, anything to add to that?
I mean, these beautiful ladies, I think, have said it all. I was even looking in the comments, the Wine Noir, shout out to the Wine Noir, also has some really good tips about ways to support Black-owned businesses. Hey, Alicia. But if I were to add anything to that, it would be for those who are passionate about wine and might be accountants or are really experts in supply chain and logistics or distribution, lend your talents. Maybe join an advisory council or serve as a volunteer and support in ways that allow for you to be your authentic self and also elevate and advance the success of our brands and businesses.
Thank
Well
you so
said.
much. Yeah, definitely well said. I'm gonna summarize it and kind of put a little something on it, and really just each one teach one. We have some brands, whether you're in the retail space, whether you're a sommelier on the floor, whether that is a retail shop or not, because if you are in a retail shop and you are slinging wine, you selling wine to somebody, you are a sommelier. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And if they do, tell them to come see me because I'm 6'3", 260 pounds. But either way it goes, whatever you're doing in the industry and you have a level of success, I feel like it is your duty to reach someone else who is looking to do the same thing and teach them what you have learned and pass that knowledge along. So that way they understand the mistakes that you have already made and don't have to make those mistakes, and history doesn't have to repeat itself. And that way we kind of propel or perpetuate our younger selves, our young ladies and young men out here who want to do the same thing that we're already doing, especially if you're already successful. Share that knowledge, share how to do that, share how to get to that same space, so we can continue to just thrive and continue to raise one another in this wine community. So
there's enough for all of us to eat, for sure.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, definitely. There's way too much. So we all can be fat and happy.
Yeah.
But thank you, ladies, so much for being here tonight, and thank you so much for your comments and your advice and all the love and the light that you've shown. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and bring back in Miss Angela and Dr. Bell to kind of close things out.
Hey,
ladies.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. Thank you so much. An amazing panel, huh?
Yes.
Amazing panel.
Yes, both panels were absolutely amazing. I honestly think that we're going to have to do a part 2 because I didn't even get to all the questions that I had, and I didn't, we got some more to talk about, I feel like. So we got to do this again. So hopefully we can do that.
This is just the beginning, right, Monique? All the research, this is just the beginning.
Yes, a long road ahead of us and lots of celebrations to be had. So yes, stay tuned.
Ray, we just want to thank you for, spearheading the conversation and and showing up for us, to be a part of the State of Black wine business. So thank you so much. And of course, thank you to all of our panelists. We just want to close out, right, Monique? We just want to close out and just thank all of our viewers for showing up and being a part of this, and of course letting us know how you feel in the comments. We were on the comments super hard, and it just brought so much joy to my heart to see all the amazing feedback.
Definitely the love, the support, the encouragement, the engagement, it really does sustain us. So thank you for that, and please continue to stay engaged, to continue to engage with us in the Uncorked and Cultured Facebook group and community. We got some big things coming up and you don't want to miss it. So please make sure you're subscribed here as well. Yes, get the report. I didn't get to cover even a third of what's in the report. So please, if you're interested in starting your own wine venture or just are a research wine geek like me, please pick up the study. We're so thankful.
Yes, the study is available. You can check it out at thewinebell.com for more. You can download it. Make sure you donate because Monique did this on your own free will, right? Mm-hmm. On your own time. So you haven't. This isn't something that you got paid to do. This is all passion and purpose.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And one other thing we want to let you guys know is coming up next month, we're partnering with Hispanics in Wine. Yes, that's Lydia and Maria. We're partnering with them to do something similar. This time it's going to be the Latinx State of the Wine Industry Summit. It's going to be a partnership and a presentation with Hispanics in Wine and Uncorked and Cultured. And our host is going to be one of the most beautiful spirits that I've met during my travels to Napa, Gabriela Fernandez of the Big Sip series. So if you don't know her, make sure you check them out. This is going to be a one-day summit. It's going to be an educational vehicle similar to this to really highlight the impact of Hispanics and Latinx contributions in wine and amplify those leaders that are really making waves throughout this movement. Right, Monique?
That is right. I'm looking forward to it. It's been such a pleasure working with those ladies. And so, yeah, definitely come back and join us. Feel some more love. Enjoy the wine. Enjoy the discussion. You'll learn something for sure. Absolutely.
And the last thing I just want to mention is, you know, me and Monique just recently had an article featured on Cuisine Noir. So we want to thank Sheree on that, you know, because this is amazing. This is our first time really having our story told together in a real impactful way. And so just to let you guys know, you know, Uncorked and Cultured was founded with the intention to bring awareness for the Black, Indigenous, and other people of color behind the vines. So our goal is to close the gap between the wine industry and Black wine consumers. So that way we can bring resources, education to deepen your wine experience. And I feel like tonight we did that.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Of many.
Okay, yes. So one of the things that we've done is we created the Subconsciously directory. And if you guys don't know about it, make sure you check us out at our website, uncorkedculture.com. We published this back in February as a part of Black History Month to support the Black entrepreneurs. You know, we have Sunshine and Happy Cork is in there. You know, Sarah Pierre. Everybody that's in this panel today from both panels, they're featured in the Subconsciously directory, as well as over 100 other Black wine businesses that are in the 3-tier wine distribution chain. So make sure you check it out. Make sure you follow them. And guess what? We're gonna try to roll out some incentives down the line. But in the meantime, please share with your network, follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we need to get to 1,000 subscribers. Monique, how long do you think it'll take us to get to 1,000?
I think after tonight, I give it through Sunday.
From your mouth to God's ears, okay? All right, guys. So I think we're good here. I just want to thank you, Monique, for doing an amazing job and doing this research and creating space for Black wine entrepreneurs, telling their stories, documenting it, because we know the truth is in numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and thank you so much. Just as I started off the top with, you have been pivotal in me finding my voice and having the confidence and courage and, you know, to be in front of the screen instead of, you know, kind of just behind the scenes doing the research. So thank you for pulling me out of my shell and helping me to, you know, experience this wonderful world of wine in an even greater way. So I'm so thankful to you for your vision.
Anytime. And you know, I got you, girl. I got you. All right. So for those who are watching at home, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, you can, if you're looking for ways to stay connected to Uncorked and Cultured, spread the love, you know, make sure you follow us on all the social media channels. We're also on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is another platform. Invite your friends, join our Facebook group, because the bigger we build our community, the more impact we'll have. And of course, share our videos. So we're going to get more viewers after the live. So just please share it and spread the word. You know, word of mouth is important. And then, of course, you can always stay in touch with us. You can follow me on my personal Instagram as well as Uncorked and Cultured. And we look forward to staying connected. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Cheers, everyone.